Welcome to Hide and Seek TV. I'm back. It's been a long week. Thank you for everybody who's been praying for me and everything. It's been a little while since I've been on here doing this video. I know people been asking me where I was at, asking me when I'm going to get on this. It's all very symbolic and very important. So I'm going to delve into this. Also, the subscriber who been asking about the Brock Bowen tight end for Raiders video, I'm going to hop on that as soon as possible. Just was covering a lot of things that was happening vitally before, I got into that. I got more stuff I can add to that with other requests as well pertaining to the sports thing. But I'm going to delve into this right quick. As I showed y'all before in First Maccabees chapter 13, when it speaks about how Judah and Israel became uncircumcised, participating in the Greek sports. They forsook the holy covenant of God and became uncircumcised. So, I'm going to delve into this because it's very important with the whole thing with Samuel Jackson and everything at the Super Bowl. Serena Williams, Kendrick Lamar. First off, which I'll revisit this later on, but you see how obviously Kendrick's at the top of the stairs. You got the people in the white and the red and the blue, because the red goes into those, as it's written, those who wash their robes in the blood of the Lamb, and their robes become white, and they become refined, they become refreshed, they become renewed. So, the blood of the Lamb covering the saints of God, making their robes purified, letting them become walking perfect in the law of the Lord. And then the blue obviously just goes into the law and order. And as we know, like I've been explaining for a while now, with the whole thing with a car right quick, when you understand the word Christ, it derives the Greek form of charos. Charos means the anointed one. Christ, the anointed one. Ka means soul, Ra means light. So that goes into the kara, the charos, the christening. So that all goes to the whole theme of the Messiah, we all operate in the body of charos, the body of kara. That's why all the people look like they was running out the car, all the Hebrews. So you see, that's why the car is parked at the top, And when you understand that, it's all just showing the stairs, because that's just showing how the time is coming where we're going to climb the altar with the Lord. The Exodus is about to fulfill. But I'm going to play it right quick, and I'm going to chime on in because it's a lot of information I'm going to cover in here. Like once again, you might have to pause, rewind, rewatch, But it's going to be a lot of stuff that's revealed in this video. It's going to be I'm going to take my time with it and show you guys piece by piece as much as I can fit in here. So thank you for watching. Let's delve deep into this. It's a blessing to be back. Let me turn it up. You can't really hear. So you hear, first off, he's saying squabble up. So let me turn it up on my side. There we go. He's saying squabble up, So that just goes into that it goes into that whole theme of how, those demons, they like to possess people. So they want people, squabbling up. They want people, gathering in rebellion, so they can possess them. So notice that's why Samuel gonna say this. See how they going up and down the stairs, falling out of sync. So look at Samuel say. No, too loud, too reckless. See that, too loud, too reckless, because as it's written, my sheep know of my voice. And that's what Satan want people distracted with noise. Remember, Public Enemy used to do that, bring the noise, and they always want to try to sound out the voice of the Lord so people don't know what's really going on. And that too reckless is because they want everybody crashing their car. They don't want nobody following, Kara, following Christ. They want everybody to crash their car and be reckless, Too ghetto. See that, too ghetto. Because that ghetto, it's just a place of the Jews. So, they know the time coming where we're about to break out of the false, the reprobated ghetto. And then the real ghetto is taking place. The ghetto is going to be the gathering of the Jews, who, the gathering of the Hebrews who are aware of what's going on. People walking in the ways of the Lord the right way. Not in that black false identity anymore. No more bywords. So that's what it's all showing. Samuel Jackson, got to play the role of Uncle Sam. I'm gonna show this part of it, and I'm gonna go more into depth with it. But that Uncle Sam role is just showing that, you know, how Judah is about to have, the law about to flow from Zion. So, Judah is gonna have influence on the laws in America because the Hebrews gonna start getting themselves right. It's not gonna be no more of all of the gangs and all that stuff about to start being eradicated. That's what we can see. You see, it's already happening now. So, all of that stuff about to be purified. So that's why, it's all preparing for the Exodus, but they're going to try to use that to basically seduce Judah, try to still keep them in black identity, keep them comfortable, stay here, you don't need to leave. And then, like with the northern tribes of Israel, with Ephraim, the so-called Hispanic Latinos, they're going to be trying to have Judah and Ephraim warn against each other because they don't want the gathering to take place and the togetherness to come to fruition, the two sticks joining together. And they definitely don't want Judah, and Gentiles together. They still try to keep what they call racism going on, Gentiles being the so-called whites, because, as it was in the first Exodus, not necessarily not the first Exodus with just Moses, but remember during the time of Noah, as it's written, it's going to be as the days of Noah were. Remember, Noah had his 3 sons on the ark, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. As the Messiah would return, and it'd be as the days of Noah. So they already know the Messiah on the earth and it's being revealed, which I'll get into later on. But, Noah's 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Ham represents Africa. Japheth, represents the Gentiles, and then you got Shem represents the Hebrews, So they already know they don't want that togetherness because they know once that all happens, what happened the first time, the flood came when all 3 were together. They don't want Judah, Judah and Israel together with the other nations. They know that's going to bring an end to their world. Their world going to start falling. So that's why he said that. But hear what he say here.
Mr. Lamar, do you really know how to play the game?
So do you really know how to play the game? So that game going to that squid game and going to that matrix, as it's written in Exodus 34:19, all that open up the matrix is mine, and every firstling among thy cattle, whether ox or sheep, that is male. So you see the whole thing goes into the Exodus. It all goes into the matrix. People waking up, preparing the Exodus out that matrix and go to the real reality and return to Zion. Let's delve deeper into this. So pay attention to this right here. It's real and vital.
Then tighten up!
So you see, nobody pray for me. Well, be humble. Okay, let's talk about it. First off, there in Louisiana, when you understand hallelujah, Holly means to praise. Louis Eternal Yah. When you translate praise the Lord, it becomes Louis Eternal Yah. Hallelujah, Louis Eternal Yah. So they're in Louisiana, and he said, tighten up. I'm going to explain that, tightening up. And that's why they sing and be humble, you know what I'm saying? So you understand in Nehemiah 1:9, when you go into Deuteronomy 28:68, as it's written, Judah was going to go into slave ships and enter back into Egypt again by boats into captivity. So when you go into Nehemiah 1:9, but if you turn unto me and keep my commandments and do them, though there were of you cast out into the uttermost parts of the heaven, yet I will gather them from thence and will bring them unto the place that I have chosen to set my name there. That's why when the transatlantic slave trade happened, they went through Louisiana. Then he said, tighten up, and then they started singing, be humble. After they did all that squabbling up, After they do all that squabble up, he said, no, that's too loud, too reckless, too ghetto. Tighten up, Then he said, if my people which are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and heal their land. Hence, then Louisiana, the Lewis land, blasphemy. So, he said, nobody pray for me. Well, then he going to the be humble with the car behind them, and they all standing in formation properly. They're not squabbling up no more. They're not in that false, reckless ghetto activity. Ignorance. You get your 40 ounce. You get your 9 millimeter. You got your blunt, your pack of cigarettes, whatever. You driving your low rider. You driving your Charger, smoking your blunt, drinking your alcohol, popping your perk. Somebody look at you. You gotta y'all get into it. You know what I mean? It's not no how are you today. Peace be with you, my friend. None of that. It's just what that N word looking at. All that stuff is gonna fade away. So you see how how they already showing it. That's why it was all in sequence. And then obviously, Louisiana is in the Gulf. So, now that's why Trump, his main thing he wanted to change was Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. Like I was explaining before, when you spell Jerusalem, it's JERUSALEM. So that's why you got USA in there. Because they already know the us goes into how the Father said, let us make man in our image. That us goes into the body of Christ, the body of God. So the us goes into the us. So that's why in Luke 16:26, and beside all this, between us and you, there is a great gulf fixed. So I'll get into all of that later on. But they had to use that Samuel Jackson because it's very important to understand it, because Samuel Jackson, remember he was on that movie Soul Man back in what was that, like 08, 09, I think, 07, 08, yeah, 08. Remember he was on the movie Soul Man with Bernie Mac, and that was like one of Bernie Mac. I always think that was Bernie Mac's last films. And remember that and the other film he had was Madagascar Escape to Africa. So they know that Exodus is coming, which I'm gonna get into in a minute. But basically, remember Samuel Jackson was Lewis on there. Remember he was Lewis on that movie. So he played Lewis, the Soul Man. And then, they already, like I was explaining earlier, it's very important to understand, because they had to have him doing that Uncle Sam, because like I said, that the Holy Kingdom of Judah is rising, and that the laws is being implemented. Which I'm gonna play a quick clip in a second to show what's progressing, as we speak. But in Philippians 2:10, as it's written that at the name of Yahushua, every knee must bow and every knee must bow, and of things in heaven and things in earth and things under the earth, and that every tongue should confess that Louis Eternal is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. So let's delve into this right quick. Let's look at this so you can see what I mean when I'm saying that the law is already coming into fruition to flow from Zion. So here's one of the chiefs of the Holy Kingdom of Judah. Oh, sorry. It should be good.
The first speaker is Chief E.S. Lewis, Community Outreach Center for the Tribe of Judah.
Peace be with you.
So you see how everything's already coming together. They already acknowledging, the government's already acknowledging who Judah is. It's already happening. As we already coming out of that black identity. That black identity is fading away, and that's what they showing you. For as it's written in Baruch 2:30, for I knew that they would not hear me because it is a stiff-necked people, but in the land of their captivities they should remember themselves. So returning back to our true identity. They already know that Exodus is about to fulfill, as it's written, in that day there should be an altar to the Lord in the midst of the land of Egypt, and a pillar at the border thereof to the Lord, and it should be for a witness and for a sign unto the Lord of hosts, which are a shadow of things to come, but the body is of Christ. So they already know that Zion is in the midst of what they call Egypt amongst the altars. That's why when Christ was born the first time, that's why he had to go to Egypt, to be amongst his altars, to dwell safely. You know what I'm saying? That's all coming together. That's why in Psalms it says, the stone which the builders refuse has now become the headstone of the corner. Because the stone that they refuse is the headstone, it's the Lewis stone. It's the Messiah. He's the head of the church. So that's why in the Masonic Freemasons, when they in their lodges, that's why they got that Lewis stone hanging low. They don't want it to rise up, because it goes into what Samuel Jackson was just saying, then tighten up, because that goes into how we must raise and exalt the Lord, the Son of God up. We must raise him up, exalt him. So that's why he said tightening up, because they know that time is coming where we're going to raise up the Messiah. They already know the revelation is happening. That's why he said humble. That's why Quinter starts singing, be humble, and then they all got in the right formation. They get right. They be humble. Judah humble themselves and acknowledge the Lord and raise them up. And not just squabbling up no more. Let's listen to this right quick. It's all connected. They don't want that raising up to happen.
How I'm skating on these records is proof. I put your favorite rapper neck in the noose. Never letting them loose.
You see that? Put your favorite rapper's neck in the noose, because that whole theme of that rapper just goes to how the Messiah, it goes into that christening, the one who's embalmed. Remember, Jacob was embalmed, Joseph was embalmed and placed in a tomb. The Messiah will enter inside his king's chamber. And they don't want that. So that whole theme all goes into that whole aspect. They know what's coming, So that's why all that stuff is all connected. So that's why they had to have Serena Williams. They like to use their allegory, the B word. They love that B word, blasphemy, because the B word goes into the, obviously it insults a woman. So, the kingdom of heaven is as a bride to Christ. So it goes into that B word. And then, as it's written, Satan loves to have Israel chasing after idol gods, prostituting, seeking after idol gods. So, it goes to the B word. So like a synonym is the wench, or prostitute, the wench. And a wench is nothing but it's used to raise up stones. You know what I mean? It's used to drag and raise things up more so. So, it all goes into the aspect of the Messiah being risen up. So, let's hear this right quick. So, Caroline, like I explained before, that Carol, that's just that Cara. So, hear what they say, Excuse the language, but I just wanted just to show the whole thing. See, so even on a movie, I ran across this one, I think it's called Teacher's Crime. It's so crazy how much blasphemy is in there with the names. They say Carrie, and look what she said, Carrie, and she's such a B word, and Carrie's a teacher on there, you know what I'm saying? So you see, then you saw Bill, Bill, it all goes to that William, because Bill is short for William. In Exodus 3:14, as it's written, I am that I am. So that goes into the will of I am, the will of God, the William. So that's just the Bill. And Bill on there, he's selling the cars, You see, Carrie's listening to Bill's nephew say he just wants me to stay behind and help him with the car lot, So it's all sick. But anyway, that Samuel Jackson, like I say, he also was on that Snakes on the Plane. So, that snake on the plane is serious because, as it's written, behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. So that's the snakes on the plane, the saints. And that goes into the 1 Thessalonians 4:17, like I've been telling everyone about the plane exodus that's coming. The snakes that's coming on the plane. Those who are wise as serpents, innocent as doves. Remember Christ? In the first Exodus, remember Moses, it says he raised up the serpent on the pole that'll be for healing. In John 3:14, as the serpent was risen up in the wilderness, so must the Son of Man be risen up. That go right back to Samuel Jackson, tighten up. So, it says, then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we forever be with the Lord. So the cloud go into the cloud gathering, in Hebrews, 12:1, as it says, we are the gathering, we are the clouds of witnesses. It's not that hard to understand, what's spiritual is physical. If people just get out their ego and just say what they think they know, it gets you nowhere. We all have to overcome that. That go right back to that be humble. You know, it's time about learning and listening. It's not about what I is what well, it's just it's just I don't like to be rude or anything like that. People just need to shut their mouths and listen. Those people arguing who's the Antichrist. The Holy Kingdom of Judah sanctions and says who the Antichrist is. People who saying, oh, the Antichrist is Donald Trump. I mean, I'm going to get into that in a minute. They don't understand what's really going on, and they just trying to deceive you. I'm just speaking the truth, man. I'm not sitting here giving people my opinion. I don't follow old Lucifer, so I don't have no opinion. I'm letting the mind of Christ speak. This is not me just sitting here talking, making this stuff up. Things I've been saying that was going to happen the last almost 5 years and happened. So, and I live my life peacefully and enjoy and, rejoicing in the Lord every day. I don't have that stress and sorrow and depression and anxiety. So people who know me personally know that's, I have a lot of joy and I rejoice in the Lord. I know how to interact with people. I know how to reach people. I'm not some socially awkward, full of anxiety, giving people synopsis of what I think is right and not knowing how to relate to people and reveal these things to people. If you got the Spirit of the Lord upon you, you won't have them problems. If it offends you, it is what it is. But I'm just speaking the truth, man. I'm going to keep rolling with this. So Uncle Sam again, that it's all duality with that Samuel Jackson because it goes, they already know about the plane exodus. Remember during the first exodus, Pharaoh didn't want Moses to leave with the Israelites. So that go right back into Sam, those surface to air missiles. So you remember Pharaoh chased after he chased after the Israelites into the Red Sea. So the spirit of the Antichrist is gonna want to do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? And this was all gonna be coming. That's why it's important to understand. What's the prophecies. That's why that's why the planes. They saying the planes are going through all of this now and all of that because they already know what's coming. And they just showing you what's going to be happening. That's what the Final Destination movies was about. And that's why they got that new Final Destination bloodline coming out because they know that bloodline of Christ is getting ready to exodus to the final destination back to Zion. So you see Homelander, remember on the Mortal Kombat, even the show too, but on the Mortal Kombat, his fatality, remember he blows up the planes and laughs. Why he holding the American flag why he wears the American flag because Satan don't want people to leave Babylon. That's why Samuel Jackson said play the game. They want people to stay in the matrix. And Kendrick Lamar, the reason why they had to do that PlayStation, because when you understand the PlayStation is very serious because the X is the Christ symbol, it's the Christos symbol. The triangle goes to the altar. The square just goes right into the earth, the four corners of the earth, and it goes into how Christ is the stone, and then the circle goes into the circle of life. It goes into the Kara. Kara also means the circle. So that's why PlayStation uses those. And remember they had the PlayStation Network now. So it says. The PlayStation was down for like a few hours, like a couple of days, wasn't it? I'm not on the PlayStation, but I know it was down. People was telling me it was down. But yeah, that all just showing the symbology of how those things that that blasphemy that's working against the Holy Kingdom of Judah. That cloud, the real cloud is gathering, so they gotta collapse. That's why the internet is called the cloud. It's very important to understand all of this. So, that's why Donald Trump had to be at the Super Bowl. Because the time we in now is the mega. We're in the time of Make America Great Again. You kind of see what I mean? So they want to keep pushing the agendas. And they want to keep pushing the agenda and keep people in that Homelander spirit, Make America great again. There's no reason to leave here. You can just stay here. That's why Trump already said he's going to do the number one the biggest deportation ever in in history. Because they already know that Exodus is going to follow during that Trump term. So you see, that's why they had to do all of that, you know, and obviously that's why they had to win in Louisiana. I'm gonna get into the Eagles in a minute, because the Louisiana, you know, obviously got the Saints. It's all connected to Lewis land. The Saints are part of those who follow, who walk in my steps. You know, they have received my name. You know, I placed the Father's name upon them. In Revelation 3:12, I made them a pillar in the temple of my Lord, and I placed the Father's name upon them. You know, the Lewises. You know, this is very important to understand. So that's why Trump had to be there, because in 1 Corinthians 15:51-52, as it's written, that the trumpet, at the last trump, where the awakening of the saints happen. We are raised up incorruptible. So, you know, all of that stuff had to happen, where Trump had to be there, because it's just showing now, you know, he's like the master of ceremonies, because it's all folding into that mega, you know, that MAGA. So, Tom Brady had to be there too, because, you know, Tom Brady, you know, he deal with the Hertz commercials that all deals with cars, the Hertz, the cars, the Cara, the Hertz, get you a rental, you know. See what it's like to be Cara yourself, you know what I mean, the blasphemy in that, you know. And, you know, Hertz also going to frequencies of music. So that all goes back to the trumpet ordeal, the trump, the Hertz, you know. You know, my sheep know of my voice. You know, the revelation trumpets, the sounding off of the signs. And that's why Kendrick had to be on top of that car, which I explain this later on. You know, it all goes right. You know, that's why they put the radio inside the car. And that's why Jalen Hurts had to win the Super Bowl. You know, the Hurts, the Jalen Hurts leading the Eagles. I'm going to get into all of that in a little bit. But let's delve deeper into this right quick. So, you know, obviously Serena Williams had to do the Crip walk, because that Crip walking is serious, because that Crip goes right back to the chambers. It go into the altar. You know what I mean? So when you understand that Cripping, it goes into the altar, it go right into the chamber. So she's the William, you know, he, she, whatever it is, the Williams, that goes into the I am that I am, walking, going into that altar, you know, following the steps of the Lord, walking up that altar, preparing to go in that king's chamber. Then you see Williams is by the pole, because that pole goes right into the whole theme of raising up Christ. I'm going to show you this right quick. Let's delve deeper into this. Remember Warren G used to stand by that pole, and it go right to that 21st and Lewis, because that pole is what's used to raise up the stone symbology. Remember, it holds the light. It's the light pole. You know, Christ is the light of the world. So, you know, he's risen up. You kind of see what I mean? Go right to that 21st and Lewis. But let's look at a couple things right quick so you can understand better. All right, here it is. Excuse the language.
That's with no sound. I'm a boss. This is boss talk. Bruce Leroy, Mike Crip walk.
See that Bruce Leroy, Mike Crip walk? And notice how they watching the altar, like blasphemy and them watching the altar. They love to watch that throne. That's what the watchtower with the Jehovah's Witnesses and everything is about. Watching the throne, trying to watch the altar, making sure the saints don't exodus with the Messiah. You know.
Grab a plunger, nigga, cause I shit talk. Ain't talking classrooms, I'm wearing white chalk.
So he ain't talking no classrooms, you know, he wearing white chalk. So, you know, he just served Lucifer. You know, he don't want to learn the ways of the Lord. You know, as it's written in Isaiah 2, we'll go to the mountain and learn the ways of the Lord. You know. So look at this right quick. Isaiah 2, Isaiah 4, Isaiah 61. I mean, all throughout the book. You know, we'll learn the ways of the Lord at the mountain. So, you know, that Crip walk can go into that Bruce Leroy Mike Crip walk, because Leroy is just Lewis. Lee's just Lewis. So look what happens right here, right quick.
Leroy, who's the one and only master?
See, Leroy, who's the one and only master? You know, Satan always trying to oppress Messiah, you know, with his government. The You see how he says, I am, the I am that I am. And you see Bruce Leroy got that glow, the light of the world, you know. Then you see that goes into the synagogue of Satan, the false Jewish, the Ashkenazis. You know, in Revelation 2:9, those who call themselves Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. So they try to empower the Antichrist, you know, with all the charades to keep Judah as blacks, you know. That's how that all operates, so they all know who they really are as Judah, and then they can keep the charades going, keep all the wars going, keep all the chaos going, you know.
Oh, God damn. Let me go, motherfucker, let me go.
Then you see how he do his arms, because that go into how, you know, that whole theme of how the Messiah, the hand of God, it goes to the whole gathering of the body, you know. So all the people gathering in, many should gather unto him, his arms stretched out for all, you know, who cleave, who humble themselves to be a part of the holy kingdom of Judah, you know. That's why he say holy, you see. And then you see that right there. Let's just get right to the point. But like, you see how he throwing right into that lake of fire symbology. Satan get cast into the pit, you know. So that's what all that Crip walking, that's why she had to do that Crip walking. So it's very important to understand, you know, as it's written, that the Antichrist in Revelation 13:13, that he has sent fire from heaven, you know, that goes into those missiles, you know, and Obama was sending missiles. And, you know, during Obama's time, look at all of the main terrorists that was taken down. You know, Laden, Gaddafi, you know, and so forth. You know, main honchos. But I'll get into all that later on. But anyway, you know, and as it's written that the Antichrist will deceive many and do many miracles and healings. So that's why, you know, you got the Obamacare. Got to deal with the hospital because he got to deceive people. And then obviously you see you got the sunlight because, you know, he's the false light of the world. You know, as it's written, Lucifer is the light bearer. That's why he's the only president who got his own, like, seal. And it's important to understand what's going on. So, you know, when you go into, you know, as it's written, the whole theme, how the Antichrist would deceive many. So when you go into how the Antichrist, you know, he's the only one that'll go inside the altars of the Lord. That's why Obama's the only one to ever go inside the pyramids. Because in 2 Thessalonians 2:4, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God or that is worship, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. You know, Daniel 11:37, the Antichrist will not have no desire of women, nor the God of his fathers. So, you know, the God of his fathers, that all go into the Hebrew symbology. So the God of his fathers goes into the Hebrews, so that goes into the covenants. So, you know, that's why Obama had to be so-called, had a father that's from Kenya, you know, because Kenya, you know, when you understand Egypt, like I was showing with the altars, you got Egypt and you got Kenya at the border thereof, you know, at the southern border. So that goes down to Mount Zion. That's why it's the highest mountain in Mount Kenya. And then you got at the top, you got the Lewis Glacier. So that all goes into the whole territory of Judah anyway, the kin of Yah. So that's why he had to have the Kenya connection. And then he had to have the Jewish connection with his mother, you know. So it's all just connected. The synagogue of Satan connected, and he want to have control over Judah, you know. So he was going to disregard the father, you know, the God of his fathers. And then, you know, that all going to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of the Hebrews, you know, creator of all. But, you know, the covenant and the laws go through the Hebrews. So that's why you see how Obama had to have that connection. And that's why in Daniel 11 it said he wouldn't have no desire of a woman. I mean, obviously look at Michelle Obama. And then when you understand the symbology of that, you know, Christ has the archangel Michael on his side. So why you think Obama had to have a Michael, a Michelle, a Michael? And then, you know, obviously you wouldn't have no desire of women. That's why Obama pushed sodomy, LGBTQ, around the whole world. Trump's getting rid of it. That's why he's like, you know, we can't have this in the schools, this and that, blah, 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 you know. So all of that stuff, everything, you got to understand the role of what's going on. The sun is way higher than a trumpet. You know, Lucifer, you know, obviously Trump is a antichrist, but he's not the antichrist. You know, Lucifer plays the trumpet. A trumpet is just an instrument without no one playing it. It's just nothing. Sunlight is way higher than a trumpet. You know, that's sun worship. You know, as it's shown, sun worship and cults have existed in many cultures, including ancient Egypt, Rome, and the Americas. So let's go into this. A commonly recognized hand sign associated with sun worship, particularly in ancient culture, is a gesture where the hands are extended outwards with the fingers spread apart, often forming a circle with the fingertips. So let's look at it. That's why you got Elon Musk standing by Trump and he's doing the sun circle symbology. Because they let you know they in that Oval Office and that's just all Obama. They just all Obama worshippers, Lucifer worshippers. They worship the God, the false son. They worship the false Christ. That's why the Antichrist had to play that role of a Hebrew, because that's the whole thing. The Antichrist is he deceives the whole world. Lucifer deceives the whole world, but his objective is to destroy Judah because the Messiah rises through Judah. So that's why he came to come as a Hebrew, to destroy Judah, to push false identity on Judah. Call them blacks, African Americans, Afro Americans, Negroes, coloreds. You got to understand what's really going on. That's why during the time when Obama was coming to the earth in '61, why you think they was pushing the civil rights movement so where so-called blacks and so-called whites can be equal, you know, through Martin Luther King, you know, and Rosa Louise Parks, hint Luther, Lou, and then Rosa Louise Parks, you know, Malcolm X's mother Louise, you know, Jesse Lewis Jackson, Louis Farrakhan. I mean, it goes on and on. So you see, when you understand the ancient pharaoh of Egypt, the Akhenaten, you know, was nothing but Lucifer's body. You know, he was doing the same thing Obama was doing during that time. You know, and that's why it's the same DNA. It's the same entity. It just modernized with Obama. So when you understand what that whole thing was, you know, it was all just sun worship. You know, what he'd do is, you know, he'd go inside the Nile River, ejaculate in the Nile River, and all of the followers, they'd go out there with their cup, you know, and drink from it after he do that, and raise it up to the sun and get their blessings, you know. So that all goes into that false light, Lucifer. And then you can look at the lap, notice the lap of the Akhenaten, if you pay attention to that. And then you see, too, he had daughters during that time, just like he do now, with the two daughters, you know. And then you look at that right there. Look at his knee, and then that whole thing was just going into that Trump. They already know what they was going to use Trump for. You know, Trump, like I said, is just like that horn of Lucifer. You know, Obama's playing that horn. It's all just prophecy to, you know, gather up Gentiles and white pride and things of that nature. That's why they had Kendrick Lamar doing a Sudan with the Palestine flag, because they already know what time is coming. You know, they want to kind of still, you see they got that Gatorade in the background, that G, that Masonic G, and they got all that blackness. Because what they want to do is they still want to push people into thinking, you know, that fake Israel is the real land, you know, the Palestine. You know what I'm saying? As it's written, Judah would dwell in safety. So if they already in Israel, You know, and they being bombed. How they already in Israel? When did Messiah lead them there? Because the prophecy is the Messiah, the many would gather unto him, and he'll lead them back to their land. You know, as it's written in Isaiah 19:19 through 20, that the Father has sent a mighty Savior to deliver them. So how they already there, and they've been there since 1948? You know, how has that already happened? And Judah now just really learning who they are, you know, like the last, you know, I'm talking like really coming into knowing maybe like the last 10 years. But these people have been there since the 1940s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 30s, etc., 20s. I'm just throwing numbers, but, you know, they already been there. And they getting bombed, and they went through concentration camps and all of that. It don't even make any sense. Where is Christ? Why do they have the number one sodomite capital with Tel Aviv in Israel, when the Father already said that, you know, that he do not deal with sodomites? So it don't even make no sense what they saying, man. You know. That's why Will Smith had to do that with Big Sean with the Matrix symbology. Remember, he just dropped that song around the Super Bowl, The Beautiful Scars, because he's the William blasphemy. And, you know, as it's written, you know, by his stripes we are healed. So that's why you call it the beautiful scars. And they had to do that Matrix thing because they know we getting ready to come out that Matrix. You know, Judah's coming out the Matrix now, learning who they really are. They're coming out of that false identity. You know. It's very important to understand all of this. That's why Kendrick had to do that GNX with that Black National car. Because, you know, the Buick is the Buick. So when you see that Buick, you know, it go into that hawk, which all just goes into Horus, you know, which is just Egyptian paganism of Christ, holding the rod, the staff, the Lewis scepter. You know what I'm saying? The flying bird, which all go into eagles too, is all same allegory. So that's why, you know, he had to do that, because they already know the Eagles was going to win the Super Bowl anyway, you know, which I'll get into in a little bit. But you see, obviously, like I explained earlier, the blue for Judah, you know, the law of God. That's why he got the glorious jacket on. Then the white, like I explained earlier, for the, you know, the white robes, and the red for the blood of Christ, you know. So they already know that time we coming into, you know, Kendrick had that A minor, he had that A minor chain on, because they know we coming out that time where they can watch the throne. They don't got control over that altar no more. So it's becoming more minor. You know, they kind of like, you know, when you zoomed up, you can see it clearly. And then the further back you get, the smaller the vision gets. It's like a bird's eye view in a way. So it's like they losing that sight now over that altar. So that's why it's becoming A minor. But people think he just talking about Drake. But he still used the Drake allegory for it too, because they let you know that Drake is just dragon, and Lucifer is not controlling the altars no more. You know, that's why on X-Men, remember Yahweh, the X-Men was trying to fight Yahweh from getting to the pyramids, remember? So you see, that's why you got that big elephant demon, that behemoth, you know, the Alabama. You know, obviously Jalen Hurts played at Bama, Devontae Smith played at Bama. So, you know, you got that red altar with that behemoth, because as it's written in Isaiah 1:18, you know, basically that it says that, you know, though your sins are as scarlet, they become white as snow. So, you know, basically all that stuff, they know we coming out of that being covered in that unclean, that warring against heaven all day. They got all that blood, but now we becoming purified. So they losing that power. They no more of that crimson no more. You know, it's serious symbology. So, you know, obviously that elephant's serious. Look at this. So we're going to get into the Kansas City in a second right quick. But I'm going to play this. I'm going to Wichita. So that going to Wichita to Kansas, like I've been explaining. You know, Kansas, how the Messiah would rise out of Kansas. You know, the John 3:16, for God sent his only begotten son. That's why Kansas area code is 316. So, you know, that's why Obama always say, yes, we can, because they know that can go into that mason jar. They want to the Masons want to keep him can keep him hidden. And then that SAS, it goes into the Lewis. So it's all that whole thing, how they want to just keep him can. That's why Kansas is in the middle of America. Messiah in the midst of us all. That's why he said he going to Wichita. So here it is.
I'm gonna work the strong, make the sweat drip out of every pore.
And then they show that big behemoth,
And I'm bleeding,
See, they show that behemoth trying to block that altar.
and I'm bleeding right before the Lord.
Then he said, I'm bleeding.
The Lord.
Then he said, I'm bleeding right before the Lord after he said he going to Wichita. And then they show that behemoth. That behemoth want to keep everything blocked. But it's losing a lot of strength, Too many people waking up. The stones are waking up. So you see, it's very important. The last Super Bowl was LV3. That LV is just Louis V. The LV is just Louis V. So that's why that Kendrick was screaming that turn his TV off, turn his TV off. Because that TV just goes into the LV, the Lewis, the V. So it goes into that TV, goes into the Alpha and Omega. As you can see, that number 8 right there is that T. It's the Omega sign, the body of Christ. And then that 4 is what they call the Ankh. So when you put it, pagan Egypt, they call it an Ankh. So when you put the Alpha and Omega together, it forms that, what they call the pagan Egypt Ankh, the Lewis key, the key of David. Which I'm going to show y'all right quick. As you can see. So when he say turn his TV off, he just talking about really making sure that the Alpha and Omega don't become one, making sure that Christ don't become the head of the body. Keep them separated, keep them ignorant and knowing who he is. Let them be called blacks. So let me get to the point right quick.
Then turn his TV off. Turn his TV.
All right, hold on. Let me get right to the point.
Then stab this way. Stab that way. Then stab this way. Stab that.
So you want everybody just stepping in ignorance. If you want to be my friend, step this way. That's why he said walk around like Tizo. He is saying that, walk around like Tizo. I beat you up. Hide the Bible even if God watching. So he mentioned that T, because that T just the Omega, the body of Christ, So Drake means the dragon. So obviously the dragon goes into Lucifer. And then you see they're in the cold because the devil want to keep everybody in that darkness. He want to keep them absent from the light of God. So you see why they got those 2 towers right there. And they're trying to lean on the strength of that masonry, on the strength of them towers, those Masonic pillars. They still trying to cast that darkness into people's lives. So that's why he's releasing that Valentine's Day, because, the Valentine's Day, love is just Lewis. It just derives out of Lewis. So when you understand the heart, the heart is a part of the cardiac, cardiac. It's the cardiac, the cardiovascular system, the heart, the Kara, the cardiac. So that's why he wanted to do that. He wanted to keep sending that war against Kara. That's all this right here is symbolizing. You see how they all inside that triangle, that mustard? Because they know that mustard, as it's written, that our faith is as a mustard seed. And that gets you inside that triangle. It gets you inside the altar. Having faith that you are Exodus. So that's why they do all of that blasphemy, So all of that stuff is important to understand. So, in Revelation, that's why you see they had to have the Philadelphia Eagles win. Because, like I said, Kansas City just goes into, the Kansas, the Wichita symbology to Kansas. And then the Chiefs obviously just goes into the Saints. And, the Eagles goes into how it says that, in Isaiah 40, verse 31, how we become renewed in our strength and mount up as eagles with wings. That's why they want to blow up. That's why all the planes have to keep crashing, because they don't want us to mount up. So, as it's written, to the angel of the church in Philadelphia, write these things, saith that he is true, he that is holy, he that hath the key of David. So you see the Messiah gets the key of David through the church of Philadelphia. That's why, the top of the altar is measured at 76 degrees. That's why you got the Eagles and you got the 76ers out there in Philadelphia. They know they losing strength. And you know the A minor in music notes is a flat. So you know that's why he did that A minor stuff, because they know that flat, you know, that capstone about to be, you know, everything's coming together. The capstone gonna be on the altars again. Messiah gonna be the headstone. You know, what's spiritual is physical, you know. So you know, as it's written, for whereso the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. Then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. Then shall all the tribes of earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in clouds of heaven with power and great glory. So, you know, we're the clouds, the gathering that's upon him, that he gained all his strength from, because we witness who he is. So that's why it says the carcass. That's why Kendrick had that car out there while the Eagles was playing and gathering around the Chiefs. That's why Williams was sacking Patrick Mahomes like 3 times, you know. It's very important to understand what's going on, you know. That's why Jalen Hurts is from Texas and Patrick Mahomes is from Texas. You know. And you know, All-American, remember they got the season coming out recently. And you know, the Eagles is their team too. On All-American show, Beverly High is Eagles on the left. You know. And like I explained about the great revealing. You know, about how the Messiah will be revealed. You know, like I was saying before, you know, Texas, the birthplace is Port Arthur, Texas, the 776 zip code, and he goes to Kansas. Because, you know, that's why Port Arthur, where he was born, you know, and when you understand how the altars are, that's why I said the altars will be a sign and witness, because the altars stand 5,776 inches. The 5 being for the 5th day, the 7 for the 7th month, and then the 76. With a 76th birth year, you know, as it's written, how the altars would testify. Before I get into that, so that's why July 4th they have their Independence Day, 1776. So they don't want to be under his rulership. They want to do what they want to do and cause all this mayhem and chaos and squabbling up. So when you understand it, it's very important, because you know in Matthew 24:32, remember as it's written that in the summer, you will know that the branch is nigh. You know that the summer is near, the branch is nigh. And when you go into Zechariah 6:12, the branch, who is the man, will build the temple of the Lord. So, you know, all of that all goes together, how the Messiah is the branch that was born in the summer. That's why they do Christmas December 25th, because they mock, because, you know, in Africa, July and the summer months of Africa, where America's summer months, January, June through August, is winter months in Africa. You know, in most places in Africa, it's the winter months. So that's why they do that blasphemy. See, you know the Messiah was going to be born anyway. That's why they had to have Patrick Mahomes, because Pat is the abbreviations for Port Arthur. And that's why they both had to be from Texas, the 2 quarterbacks. So, you know, the Carroll Lewis Williams, the Carroll for the Cara, the Lewis for Lewis Eternal, and the Williams for the I Am That I Am. Like I've been showing all this time. That's why in high school, you know, he had to have the Eagles. He was on the Eagles in high school at the Stephen F. Austin High School in Port Arthur, Texas, that they paid $200-something million to shut down. You can look it up. Stephen F. Austin High School was shut down. They paid over $200-something million to get it shut down. So, you know, all the things had to deal with the football, because in Isaiah 22:18, he would surely violently turn and toss thee like a ball into a large country. And then you see that's why Trump was focused so hard on the golf, because they already know that going to Luke 16:26, between us and you is a great gulf fixed. So you see that whole thing, how he was born in the Gulf, in Texas, which is in the Gulf. So you see how he had to play for the Eagles, because, you know, he'll mount up as the Eagle. And then Texas is right by Louisiana, the Lewis land. So, you know, all that stuff, the footpath, the safety, you know, that all goes into the whole thing. Even when you look at the whole golf, it looks like the hand holding the football. You know, that's why football is the southern sport, you know. It's just evil how they operate. But it's all prophecy. So even the hospital he was born in, the Christ Southeast Texas Hospital, they shut that down. I had broke this stuff down on previous videos. I'll put it in the comment section below. But you see how he was born on the Gates Boulevard, the 3600 Gates Boulevard, on the 9th Avenue, right by 9th Avenue, because remember Messiah was, Christ the first life. Remember he was crucified in the 9th hour. So you see how you got the Gates Boulevard, because he'll come through the gate in Ezekiel 46:2. And the prince shall enter by way of the porch of that gate without, and shall stand by the post of the gate, and the priest shall prepare his burnt offering, his peace offerings, and he shall worship at the threshold of the gate. Then shall he go forth, but the gate shall not be shut until the evening. So you see the whole theme of the Gates Boulevard. And they shut the hospital down, And they shut all of that down because they already know that revelation was coming anyway. They didn't want people knowing this stuff. So you see you got the Gulf of America. Obviously, I was just talking about that with the Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America. And like I was saying, that light, Lucifer, Obamacare, Satan, he always try to have his government on arms. That's why the amendment right is you bear arms, because they want everybody to bear arms and join them in arms to war against Messiah and in his body, his saints. Join their coalition, join their democracy, which just means demon possession, false light battling the true light. That's why Luka Doncic, you see he played for American Airlines. He used to play in the American Airlines Center in Dallas, and that's why they traded him to L.A., because L.A. is just the abbreviation for Louisiana. So, they want him in the false L.A., obviously the blasphemy L.A., but that whole symbology of that, that's why people was protesting. That's why they had their candles talking about they sanctified Luka, jerseys, And that's why they said, they missed Luka, Lewis, blasphemy. They was even saying hallelujah, Luka, And then, they had to do that Zach LaVine trade around the same time, because right before the Super Bowl, because, he went from Chicago to the Sacramento Kings. So they already know the Kings are being sacramented. That's why they had to, they already know that whole thing of being sacramented, grafted into the covenant. Many people going to keep waking up and returning back to the holy covenant of the Lord to serve the Lord, becoming kings and priests, priestess and queens and princesses, so forth. But anyway, that's why they did that, because they already know that time is coming. The eagles are gathering, unto the carcass. So, obviously at halftime, the score had to be 24-0. That 24 is just two fours. It goes into the 2 4s, which just goes into the 44, which all just goes into the law of God, the covenant, the ark of God, the ark of the covenant, the 2 4s. And that's why Jimmy Butler, remember, he went back, he joined up with the Warriors, because the saints are as what? Are as refined as fire, are refined by the fire, and is tried as gold is tried. So that goes into the Golden State Warriors, being refined as gold. And, they were down 24, and they win by 22. Remember, Butler used to wear 22, because that 22 just goes right back into the fulfilling of Revelations. It goes into the Revelation, have 22 chapters. It goes into the building of the kingdom. Remember, Jimmy Butler used to wear 22 when he was on the Heat. Now he's a warrior, dealing with the fire, the heat. Now he's the golden warrior. And he's the butler because, the Messiah comes to serve and not to be served. So now he's wearing 10, because now that goes straight into the commandments, the law, And, notice the score, like I said, it was 24-22. So the Super Bowl halftime was 24-0, right? And then notice the Chiefs at the end, they had 22 points. Just like that Butler symbology. You know? It's serious. So let's look at this before I get ready to end this video. So obviously, first game for Luka was against the Jazz. They go right back to the trump again. The trumpet, the Jazz, the Louisiana. So look, his first shot, his first three as a Laker, it's against number 24. You see that go into that 24 again. The 2 4s. And then, you know, that same day of the Super Bowl, notice that the Bucks had to play against the 76ers. Because that buck is just a bill, you know, like $2 is 2 bills, $2 bills symbology, which just goes into the I am, you know, and that's why the deers, they all go into, remember you got that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, you know, that all just blasphemy of how Christ is the reindeer, he's the deer, you know, that Satan, Santa, want to get power from to use to gain all the credit. You know what I mean? He blasphemed his likeness, but he want to get all the credit and glory, you know. And then, you know, you got the 76ers, obviously. And then also, when they beat the Jazz, when they played the Jazz that day, Jazz record was 12-39. So, you know that, like I've been showing, you know, that 2-3-9, you know, as it's written, where 2 or 3 are in the midst, the Messiah. Where 2 or 3 are gathered, the Messiah is in the midst. So that's why you got LeBron James wearing 23 as son number 9, and now Lou is there, Luka Doncic. You know, King James, the Word of God, the Bible, the King James Bible, the Father and Son blasphemy. Now Lewis is in the midst, Luka. And then they beat the Jazz, who was 12-39. Like, there's just no way around none of this. But like I said, thank you all for watching Hide and Seek TV. Much more is coming, man. Peace.